This morning we have somebody with us who everybody here knows and is someone that's meant a lot to us in the classroom for the last 3 years, and some of you have known her for 2 years, some of you just this year. I've always enjoyed having her, and she draws some amazing poetry from you. This morning she's going to read some of her own poems about her childhood, about other kids that she's known, some about animals that she thought you would enjoy. So let's welcome Florence back again.
A friend of mine was teaching up at Jamestown Elementary, and I don't know, I had a day off or something, I'm not sure exactly what the deal was, but he said, I've got this old poet coming up to visit, and he had never met her, but I don't know how he arranged it. So I said, well, why don't I come on up, we'll have lunch, and I'll see what that's all about. So I go up there, and he's got the kids sitting there waiting, and we're expecting some, proper older woman to walk in, and she's run a little late, which she often did. So we're all sitting there, and Craig's doing something with the kids to just keep them going until she gets there. And so, without any fanfare or anything, she comes around the corner, appears in the doorway, this great old woman with the purple, she always had purple on, had a purple hat, I think, at the time, and big old Coke bottle glasses. And Craig says, "Oh, are you Florence?" And Florence's first response is, "You were expecting somebody else?"
The people who talk about teaching poetry, and the image I get is of a mother bird feeding the baby bird. I don't think you can do that. It's this way. It's in them. You try to get out of them what's in them.
Her personality and it was a special occasion when she came to the classroom, drew some of the most amazing poems out of those kids. It was just fun to watch.
She always wanted to be a very modern person. She never wanted to get old, and I don't mean that physically old, but she never wanted to have her mind or her spirit become old. She was an adventurer, and she wanted to help children learn the adventure of poetry and learn the adventure of thinking through poetry and expressing themselves through poetry.
The main thing is to get the ink flowing. All the other things can happen later, but once it flows naturally, they're hooked, and they're going to keep on writing, and they'll get better and better. The more you write, the better you get.
I was in the children's library at the public library for a long time, and very interested in getting kids involved in things besides sports and music where they had a venue to perform, and so we wanted to have writers and readers have venues to perform. And so a couple of the programs we did were Writers in the Schools, where we would have children selected by their teachers to come to the library for writing workshops. And then we would try to find people like Florence Becker Lennon and Mary Folsom and others who would come and work with the children on the manuscripts. They would have had read the kids' manuscripts. they'd have a half-day workshop, and then we'd put 8 or 9 authors on a stage, and the kids could ask questions. So that was the kind of format that we were interested in giving the children who were interested in writing, in poetry, in reading, in those kinds of things, venues. And just the sort of thing that Florence would connect with.
5 years ago, some of her friends had a big party for her and got together and donated the very first gift to the Boulder Public Library Foundation. And that was about $600, and that was the beginning of the Florence Becker Lennon Poetry Awards for young people living in the Boulder Valley.
One thing I do know is that she was amazing in getting incredible poetry out of them. And, you know, I had some talented kids over the course of that time, and she just, the whole thing of her reading first, getting them to go write, and then what she'd usually do is she'd ask the kids to read it, and if they didn't want to, she'd read it, but she said, I'll only read the first time, this is the first time I'll read it for you, but then you've got to come up and read it.
We'll start with Robbie Carpenter.
The Silk of White. The silky mist lies on the mountain, splattered with white in areas of snow. Then the mountain crawls from under the mist, and the sky molds around the mountain crest, as the grove of trees once more flows like water down the mountainside.
Just one of the kinds of things that she was just such a total individual. And my description of her would not be coach, as you came up with, but as participant. I think she dealt with them on the level where they were, which is one of the reasons they were able to give the kinds of lines and things that they did. And when she would have them read their own poetry, it was to show them how to get it to say what they wanted it to say.
The other thing about her that was interesting is a lot of days when I show up to pick her up, she'd be kind of dragging and not feeling well. I mean, she was 80, whatever, you know, I mean, up to 89. And so she'd kind of grumble a little bit and complain, and then she'd get in the car and we'd go up to school, and as soon as she hit the door with the kids, she would just like sparkle. She was just like, she even wrote a poem about that. I can probably do something about, like, I thought I wouldn't make it through the morning, but the breezes from the kids
blew to me and held me up. I hope you didn't miss the support you gave me.
Yeah, so that was Florence.
In the forest, in a clearing in the forest where the sun comes in through the trees. And I sit there and wait for the birds. And that infuriated me, so I wrote my own loyalty pledge, and this is it. Freeway, and that's right. It was no trouble for me to stop. I got to stop her and stop and do that. I'm not fond of the old. Let's see. Never had a wheel in my hand. I will now tell you my most famous poem. Many a man is still alive because I never learned to drive. Where? The only connection this poem has with the program is that Miss Moore liked it, and that should be enough. I sit there and wait for the birds, and either they come or they don't. Work for your personal as a personal there. It's called Nevertheless. I swim against the current. I battle with the tide, so let this be my epitaph. She tried.